Hi, I'm Ryan and welcome to day 18 of your 30-day yoga play. Today is a power flow class, so let's get right into it and set up our breath. As always, one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths, inhaling and releasing. Inhaling, fill the belly, then the chest, and let it go. Third breath. Let it go. Let's get right into cat-cows. Dipping the belly for cow. And exhaling for cat. Rolling that spine, wave-like motion. Cow. And cat. Starting with the sacrum all the way up to the base of the skull, rolling the entire spine out in both directions. Maybe introducing some extra forward and backward and lateral movements here as you do your cat-cows. Maybe left and right, as you wish. Shifting forward, we'll warm up into the wrists a little more. Shifting back, we'll warm up into the hips a little more. And of course, twisting to the sides, warm up into your sides. And let's just shift our hands out to the side. A little more wrist warm up quickly here. Wrists pointing back, you might have to shift forward for this if it's too much pressure, and then just a gentle shift. Warming up your wrist flexors. And then shifting forward to the sides. And back to the front. And either keeping your knees on the ground and just activating your core and holding it, or raising our knees off the mat to generate some heat. Wherever you are, pull your hands towards your feet and your feet towards your hands to press your shoulders down. Feel how your lats activate your whole backside body. Maybe tuck your chin a little bit. Gathering a little more heat here. If it's too much, just put your knees down on the mat, no problem. 3 more seconds. And relax. A little more wrist stretching. Maybe you could do sort of clock-like motions here. 1 second each. And even internally rotate the hands, gently pulling back. A little more. Be gentle on the wrists. Out to the sides. And once you're back at neutral, again, let's raise our knees off or just turn on your core, sucking your belly button in slightly, tucking your tail, continuing to breathe. The breath will be restricted, but we can still slowly inhale, slowly exhale, ideally through closed lips, through our nose. Just a little bit more warm up here. 3 seconds. And come back to downward dog right away. Let's step forward. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, fold. Now roll up, reach up, and hands to heart center. right away into a variation of Sun Salutation B, kneeling for chair pose. Slightly tucking the tail here, maybe shifting so far back that our toes come off the mat. And fold. Half lift, stepping back for your variation of vinyasa. Left foot 45 degrees, right foot forward, warrior one. Coming down, second vinyasa. Right foot 45, left foot forward, warrior one. Third and final vinyasa. Back to downward dog. Just for a moment. All these poses are cumulative, so if you're starting the series here, you might want to start at day one and go from there. There's tutorials for everything we've been doing so far. Walk your feet to your hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale right away into a chair pose. Shifting the weight back slightly. And come to standing hands at heart center. Look up, reach up. Exhale, fold. Half lift. Do your variation of vinyasa, nice and slow here. And here in downward dog, we're just going to come to our knees for just a moment. Now the right foot is going to come out at 90 degrees. Left hand with the index finger pointed forward. We're going to come up for a supported side plank, which we covered in the last class. Day 17. So you could be here, or you could raise the arm to the sky, externally rotating both shoulders. Eye of the elbow should be trying to point forward, and the one that's raised should be trying to point behind you. Don't sag into the hips. Raise up, maybe with the support of your ankle. Keep holding it. And then right away we step back, shift to the other side. Supported side plank on your left side. Maybe looking up, maybe even closing your eyes. Five seconds more. Back to plank, back to downward dog. Raising the left leg to the sky. We're going to bring it through the middle. We're not going to plant it down though. Just raise your knee up as high as you can go and then shift back. Now you're going to bring your knee as close as you can to your left elbow. Shift back. Now you're going to bring it out to as close as you can to your right elbow. Raise it up. Shift it back. Plant the left foot. Just a breath here in down dog. Okay, right leg swings back. Bring it through. Don't bring it down. Raise it up. Back up. As close to the right elbow as you can get it. Swing it back and cross to the left elbow. Back and right away into downward dog again. Just take a break here. If this is a bit too much, just take a child's pose. Left foot 45 degrees, right foot forward. Warrior one. Right away shift into warrior 2. We're going to reverse that warrior. Left arm down the back leg and reach. Open up on the right side. Maybe look up. We're going to bring the right forearm onto the right leg. Sweep that left arm forward. Trying to form a straight line from your left foot to your left hand with a firm, solid base, with the effort on opening up and maybe even looking up towards the sky. This is extended side angle, which if you didn't watch the tutorial yet, we'll cover in the tutorial. Reaching back. Now stretching out that right side again. And raising the ankle, pivoting the foot. Step back, a nice slow vinyasa here. So we're going to stop halfway down, whether on your knees or not. And now stop again. In upward dog or cobra, just hold that a moment. And back to downward dog. Again, here's a moment for a child's pose, or just hang out in downward dog. Feeling that extra stretch in your hamstrings now. And of course in your shoulders. Right foot 45 degrees. Left foot forward. Warrior 1. Right away into warrior 2. Might deepen your stance a little bit for this. Now we're going to reverse the warrior. And the same thing. Left elbow, left leg. Sweep that right arm out in front of you. Externally rotating that shoulder. Trying to form that straight line and maybe even looking up. Just another moment here until we reverse that warrior now. Breathing into the side body. Hand on the leg, or it could be half bound behind your back. Whatever's most comfortable. Raising that right ankle, pivoting the foot. Nice slow vinyasa. Stop in Chaturanga Dandasana or on knees, chest, chin. And then stop again on upward dog or cobra. And now it's time for a nice wide-legged child's pose. Let's make this child's pose active by walking our hands forward, tenting the fingers, and trying to bring the armpits towards each other, which won't happen, but that's just where the energy should flow, which will spread your shoulder blades a little bit more, give you a little more external rotation and stability in your shoulders, and just might feel good. If wide-legged is uncomfortable, you can bring your knees together and bring your breath. So direct your inhale towards your low back. Feel that expansion. Releasing your low back from any tension. We'll come up to all fours. And just with bent knees, walk forward and get ourselves onto our back. Here we're just going to do one quick seated twist here. Left foot over the right leg. This might be enough. You might just hug here, or you reach your right arm up, bring it on the outside of your left leg, or just hug the left leg and peel your left shoulder back, finding that torso twist with both hips on the mat. Coming back to center, straighten out the left leg. Right leg over left. Same thing. Reach the left arm to the sky. And up to you. You could hug it on this side, or you could hinge it on the other side. Bring the right shoulder back. And twist your torso. Try to have an upright spine rather than just sort of collapsing your low back down. And we'll gently come out of this twist and gently roll our spine like a cat-cow slowly onto the mat. And take your Shavasana, release all your muscles, let your feet flop out to the sides, and just detach from the tension. You could stay in your Shavasana, or you could join me coming over to one side first. And as long as there's no dizziness, at your own pace, slowly coming up to seated. Some people take 10 seconds to come up to seated. Some people like to take 5 minutes. It's no problem. Since this is a video, you could always pause it and do your thing. Either way, once you've come to seated position, raise your arms to the sky with me. Look up, reach up, shrug your shoulders up. Palms together. Sweep them past your nose, your lips, your chin. Right to your heart center. Shoulders back and down. Slightly tucked tail and tucked chin. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I'll see you in our next practice. Good work. Namaste. Hi, I'm Ryan, and this is the tutorial section for day 18. So we did a power yoga flow, and the tutorial is focused on extended side angle pose. So I'm going to demonstrate just on one side, but in the class I did it on both sides. So what is extended side angle pose? Well, there's different variations of it. The one that I did is an easier variation. There are harder variations, but for the purpose of this challenge, we're not going to go into them at this point, because side angles and side planks can be quite heavy on the shoulder joint and could potentially cause shoulder pain or back pain. So we're going to be careful. And you'll notice that once I was in a Warrior 2, so I'm going to do it on this side. You could follow along. So once I'm in a Warrior 2, I'm in the right position to get into extended side angle. So depending on the instructor, the easier variation will be to have your forearm on your quad, on the upper part of your leg. Everything else is still Warrior 2. So we're just resting it gently. We're not just hanging out, falling down. Just a gentle shelf for us with the stability of our feet and our knees a little bit out here, a little bit of weight on the back of that back foot as well. And we're going to sweep our arm, our opposite arm, over in front of us. So we're trying to form a straight line from the heel all the way up along the side of the body, including the arm, over top of us. And my index finger should be pointed straight out, so like an arrow, a straight line. And often people will be a little further down, so we want to bring that shoulder back like we're in a side plank, maybe even looking up. And my energy is on external rotation of my shoulder, which means I'm trying to rotate the eye of the elbow out, but not just bring the hand with it. We can internally rotate this separately and externally rotate the shoulder. So that's what's going to create stability and tension and protect our shoulder joint under any kind of strain. So there's your extended side angle. An example of a harder variation would be something like this. But again, we're not going to cover that because, first of all, it requires a lot of flexibility, a lot of mobility strength, and it can, of course, cause people to fall over. So this will be the Seri for variation. And so once you're in here, typically you'll be cued to return to Warrior 2, or perhaps reverse that warrior and feel a stretch on the other side of your body. But for the purpose of this tutorial, simply extended side angle is something that'll be added to our flows a little more often. You've seen it already in a few classes, but we just hung out there for a second and moved on. And since it's not very dangerous, it's okay to play with it as long as your Warrior 2 feels solid and safe. If your Warrior 2 is already very challenging, I would suggest shortening the stance of the Warrior 2, bringing your feet closer together and maybe bringing this back foot a little more in front of you so that there's a bigger gap over here, so there's not so much tension in your hips. But we always want to keep that front knee over the ankle, nice and stable. Don't have the knee caving in too much. Maybe check if you can see your big toe. So find a strong Warrior 2 before you find a strong extended side angle, because one progresses towards the other, which is why we've covered Warrior 1 and Warrior 2 in the past, and now we're on extended side angle. So I hope you find benefit from that short tutorial. And if you've already done the class, then you could always repeat the class if you want, or just the section where we did the extended side angle. Or otherwise, take on the class knowing that you're going to run into that. You're also going to run into supported side plank, which if you watched yesterday's class, you'll have an understanding how to do that. I would suggest be careful, don't go for any more advanced variations of any of these moves if you've never done them before, which is why the whole concept of these 30 days is a progression. So we're getting past day 15, which is why we're making things a little harder, but we still want to be safe, solid, secure, and have you be able to make the flow your own. All the variations, right? So even when we do the vinyasa, you could still be on knees, chest, chin, and cobra. You don't have to be doing chaturanga dandasana and upward dog and like a seriously deep downward dog with your ankles touching the mat. You don't have to get into any of that. That's no problem. But we're progressing a little more here, so it'll be a little more challenging with the poses. But in my opinion, and in Lotta's opinion, it's still safe and effective towards your goal of either having your own yoga practice or joining classes with an understanding of the modifications you can do, having the teacher there as your guide, but you are ultimately in control. So thanks again. I'll see you next time.